Good evening, folks. Joko here from IELTStemple.blogspot.com, and I'm doing a video feedback report here for a question on the topic of environmental responsibility and whose job it is to reverse. We'll see the question. It's to what extent do you agree or disagree? So that's me there in the middle. So I like to do this as just a hobby. It's just something I do. You know, some people get paid for this, but not me. Anyway, there's my cat, and that's my website, IELTStemple.blogspot.com. These are the four band descriptors in the IELTS writing task. If you don't know what they mean, then you're not watching the right video. You should be watching a video which explains them to you. There are several. I even have a couple myself. Task response, coherence and cohesion, lexical resource, and grammar. Our writer tonight is Ms. Ainit. Ainit, what do you need? Ainit Gaushal. And here's the question that she has chosen to answer. Now, I have problems with this question, which I'll explain after we hear it.
Governments and big companies should work together to reverse environmental damage, rather than making individuals responsible for that. To what extent do you agree or disagree with this statement? Give your opinion and relevant examples.
Okay, there is an actual IELTS question out there about this, on this very topic. It talks about who should be responsible for is it something that individuals are responsible for, or governments and big business are responsible for, or maybe they should both be responsible for it? I don't know. Anyway, this is an odd wording of that idea, in that you make a statement and then ask to what extent do you agree or disagree, and then that little bit at the bottom is not. It's they all end. They all have the same ending in task 2. Every single one says, give reasons for your answer and provide examples, or something about examples from your own knowledge, relevant examples from your own knowledge and experience. So anyway, let's look at the first part. Let's analyze this question. All right. And the most important thing is that you understand what part of the question that you're being asked to agree or disagree with. In task response, it talks about answering all parts of the question. Okay, and here in this question, you're being asked to look at, well, so 2 parts. Anyway, here's the first thing: governments and big companies should work together to reverse environmental damage. Should they? Okay, that's the first thing. Rather than making individuals responsible for that. Awkward wording there. Instead of individuals being responsible for reversing environmental damage, how are they going to do that? Anyway, so there's some flaws with the question, but these are the key words. Okay? Governments and big companies. 2 things. Working together. That's another thing you need to address. And reversing environmental damage. Wow, that's a long way from stopping or preventing. Okay, and then of course individuals can't be responsible for that, but that's what it says. And here is what our candidate wrote. Should I bother with the? Yeah, let's just go ahead and do that.
People think that when they pay taxes to the government, they have no responsibilities towards the environment. Therefore, the government or other big companies, which control major portion of the national economy, should be responsible for controlling or improving environmental conditions around us. However, I believe that this is an individual's responsibility to take care of our earth and nature.
Oh, I should point out that I changed the red to pinkish purple because red was so hostile when it comes to task response. Yeah, this first sentence, I like it. I do. I really do. It's not your standard opening. It's not your what in English we call a cookie cutter opening. Cookie cutter means that they all look the same. They're all cut the same way like cookies. And however, I don't know how much I agree with it. You know, because people think, because they pay taxes to the government, people think they have no responsibility towards the environment. That would be a better wording of it. Because it's not like, oh, filling out my tax form, sending it in. I'll just throw this plastic bag on the ground and let the government deal with it. Okay. Now, therefore, it's far too early in the essay to use therefore. The government or other big companies. Is the government a big company? Other means that, additional things similar to what you just mentioned. And then the use of the comma here. The government or other big companies, which control a major portion of the national economy. You're saying it's a non-defining clause that, and I would have to disagree. I think I would leave the commas out and just have which, and the government and big companies which control a major portion, or major portions, it would also work, of the national economy. Which one? Whose national economy? Yours? Mine? Someplace else? This is a definite, and we don't know what national economy we're talking about. So you would say of a national economy or national economies, plural, should be responsible for controlling or improving, yeah, I can see that, environmental conditions. No, we're not talking about conditions. We're talking about damage. Okay? That means the government should be responsible for building parks. Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's an environmental condition. Sorry, I had to let the cat in. No, the question is about reversing environmental damage. Huh? Okay, that's kind of like improving around us. Well, don't use us or we. I don't know how much I agree with this, but the conventional wisdom is that you should avoid personal pronouns like we and us and I to a certain extent, uh, unless you're specifically asked to do so. Now, and in this case, you are asked. To what extent do you agree? All right, so it is the next part. I believe. I is okay here. I believe. But you're asked to give your opinion in the context of to what extent. How, not just I believe, but how, it's just a simple word. I strongly believe. I somewhat believe, or I believe to a certain extent. There's other ways to say it, but there's no indication in your whole essay of to what extent. Okay, however, I believe that this is an individual's. What? What is this? Controlling and improving environmental conditions? No, you don't say that later on, but I'm confused about what this means. It's called referencing. It's unclear what your pronoun refers to. To take care of our earth and nature. Once again, not addressing the task. It's about reversing environmental damage, not taking care of it. Our, again, not appropriate. The government controls funds. Right, so now, and then you go into the first body paragraph with no connection whatsoever. It's just, boom, new thought. Ease people into it. And I know I complain, if you've watched other videos of mine, I complain about people overusing things like firstly, or on one hand, things like that. But it is important that your ideas are connected in order to get a good mark in cohesion. And there's no connection between the previous paragraph and this one. However, I believe that this is an individual's responsibility to take care of our earth and nature. Okay. Um, so you could begin the next paragraph by starting by taking a taking that idea and using that to start the next sentence, the next paragraph. Okay. Um, although an individual has this responsibility, it is the government which controls a large quantity of funds and has the capability of doing something about it. Government controls funds and uses taxpayer should be one word, taxpayers' money to procure the best technologies and equipments. Equipment is a category. Now, a category like furniture, equipment, luggage, information, dozens more, are all considered are uncountable nouns. So no S. To control the pollution. No, we don't want to control pollution. We don't know what pollution we're talking about. However, however, this is it is a people's responsibility to leverage such solutions. You probably studied business English, correct? Leveraging solutions is a business English term, and it doesn't belong in an academic essay. To leverage such solutions. We use such, it's a pronoun, really. It refers to, there must be solutions talked about before in order to use the word such. So, to procure the best technologies and equipment to control pollution. All right, you're talking about controlling pollution, not solving it. You said bought to solve the problems of pollution. Then you could use solutions because you mentioned the solution. Such solutions, which are provided by the government, to make our Mother Earth happy. This sentence is very confusing, and it took me quite a bit of time of looking at it and thinking about it before I finally understood what you meant. Uh, okay, so how? So they use the money to buy technology to control pollution. However, people must use this equipment, not such solution. You must use this equipment, and this is not necessary. Uh, we must use this government provided equipment to make our again, don't use our, to make Mother Earth happy. Oh, that's too informal. Mother Earth, yeah. This is academic, right? You ever heard a scientist talk about Mother Earth being happy? No, to improve well, if you're going with what you were supposed to talk about, to reverse the harmful effects of so many years of neglect. Although the city government, okay, not installs, provides color-coded bins in which to put the trash, in which to put trash in public places. In Delhi, well, okay, you come from Delhi, that's fine. But this essay isn't about Delhi. If you had put this in the form of, for example, then you can use this. But um, yeah, it's not about Delhi. It's about the world. People do not often use them. Had we used, okay, good. I like that you're trying to use past a third conditional. Yeah, that's cool. A past unreal conditional. If you can find a way to use those sentences accurately where they belong, then that's good for your grammar. But um, we're talking about the present day, right? Right now, not the past. So if we were using, not we, if Delians, if people were using such bins properly, tons of trash would be recycled and not end up in unauthorized dumping zones. Okay, so if people don't put the trash in the colored bins, it ends up in an unauthorized dumping zone. Okay, gosh, I gotta pee. 15 minutes in. All right, I believe that if people think about the burning issues, so issues about burning things. Oh, I see what you mean. Think about burning issues, not the burning issues, such as missing word, global warming or dirty oceans, ocean pollution. They will stop using these things. Okay, is this a real or unreal situation? I don't know. Oh God, I gotta pee. All right, this video is over. People should realize. Right, hang on, 1 minute. Wait, can I pause it? Is that even possible? I've never even tried to pause. No, I can only stop. So then there's this, and then there's this, and I'll do it part two.